Moving to the next topic, restoring the majesty of the parliament. We discussed in the context of rising acrimony. We are witnessing a lot of debates and disruption in the parliament happening, but it is declining the productivity of the houses and how we need to restore the majesty of the parliamentary democracy in our country. Imported from the perspective of GS2, parliament structure functioning and issues arising out of it. Now we discuss this in light of the previous year question that the UPSC has already asked, where they wanted us to know to what extent the parliament is able to ensure the accountability of the executive in India. If they are not functioning very well, they are not really supposed to, they cannot really hold the government, hold the executive accountable. So it is of prime importance that we understand that parliament as a body was designed to be the foundation of the representative democracy. It was supposed to act in its routine function. It was supposed to hold the cabinet accountable. It was supposed to be a forum where the government and opposition are interacting. It is meant to operate in a structured way where every interaction is leading to the accountability of the executive by the parliament. Under Article 75 Clause 3, we see that executive is collectively responsible to the Lok Sabha. But when such disruptions are happening, when the allegations are being levelled against the chairpersons of this house, there were allegations of discrimination and biasness against Honorable Speaker Shri Om Birla ji. There were also allegations against the former Vice President, the former Chairperson of Rajya Sabha, Shri Jagdeep Dhankar ji, regarding the biasness and the discrimination that is practiced by the presiding officer that has made the House to become a center of political partisanship. That means the protest could not be done inside the house. That means the discussions could not be done within the house. That would lead opposition members to go outside the house and protest there. Now, what are the concerning issues regarding it? Why it is so important for the parliament to function? If we see that over the time period, it is not just disruption. We see the decline in productivity also. In the last monsoon session that happened, the productivity of the house itself declined to around 34%. Of 100 sitting, if it was supposed to happen, there were only 34% sitting that could have taken place in the light of disruption that were taking place. Now, there is a reduction in the role of parliamentary committees because bills are not thoroughly discussed. They are being referred to the parliamentary committee in a very less frequent manner. Only 16% of the bill was sent to the standing committee. What it leads to is a lack of confidence in the policies of the government because not much political insight goes into it, not much political discussion happen over it. There is frequent suspension of the member. Around 130 members were suspended in one single session of the Lok Sabha earlier. Their disruption politics has become the new normal. People are protesting for every small and issue, and it has become the new normal that people have started cracking joke about parliament as being only a disrupting body. There is a decline in the private members bill. So private members, their discussions are not forthcoming. The bills are not being passed. The last bill that was passed by that was initiated by the private member and it was passed. It was back in the year 1970s. We are having decline in the sittings of the Lok Sabha also, and even those sittings that are happening, they are being disrupted by these oppositions as well as the acrimony between the ruling party as well as the opposition. But what are the causes of these political disruption that are happening in the parliament? Why is these disruption and why is there a decline in the majesty of the parliament? We see this happening because there is a tool that is being used by the members of the parties, various parties, opposition as well as the ruling party, that they use disruptions of the house as a tool of political maneuvering. The executive might want to escape the questions, the opposition might want to escape the responsibility, and then there is a lack of political consensus that neither the opposition nor the government, they have not jointly decided the agenda of the house. It is precisely the government that is deciding, and if the opposition is not getting enough means to vent out its anger regarding the policies of the government, they have left with no options but to disrupt the house, but to protest outside the house if their voice is not heard inside the house. Then there is media focus. Several political parties, regional political parties as well as smaller political parties, they use the idea that there is a lot of media around the parliament house, so let's talk whatever we want to talk just to get into the limelight. So this is also one of the reason why we see a lot of political protest happening, just to come to the idea that yes, we raise the issue. Whether it matters or not, it hardly matters. Whether it is a matter of national importance, it hardly matters. But then they are using it just as a means to further the politicization, further their own political career. The quality of representative in our parliament is also a major concern. We see around 46% of the MP, they have a criminal charge against them. So it is natural that the quality of debate would not be of the such level that we have witnessed in the past. Also, the tools that are available to the presiding officer, that are not sufficient. While in Lok Sabha, the speaker could actually name a member and ask him to withdraw from the house. There is no such authority with the Rajya Sabha chairperson. They are only supposed to ask the person to withdraw if a resolution is passed by the whole of the house. and that is not very forthcoming. So the disruptions, there is no deterrence effect against this disruption. There is not much tool to stop this from happening. Also, the rules like anti-defection law, this bounds the member of a political party to follow the line of the political party. So if the whole political party is actually engaging in the protest, it is actually not supporting the bill, the member also of that political party cannot go away from the line of the party, because it would be bound to disqualification. So some of them are compulsively doing this because of the party direction, and that could be any political party. Now, what is the impact of it? Why does it matter so much? If you see that it is ignoring the pressing issues of the day. Why cannot the LPG shortage in our country can be discussed within the house? Why does the member of opposition has to move outside the house to discuss the same and then get mocked at for the same? Now, if we see the issue of loss of social capital, because the people are also thinking that parliament may not yield the right result, they are having less hope from the parliamentarians. They are not going to the parliamentarians as frequently to raise their issues, and they are using other means to get their issues resolved. For example, there is greater dependence on judiciary instead of the local representative. We saw recently in the last section that we discussed about the petition going to SC regarding the MSP, where MSP for pulses was asked not from the parliamentarian, not from the executive, not from the government, but from the Supreme Court, that you please tell the government to give us MSP on the pulses. Now, this is basically leading to the aspect also of judicial activism and overreach. It is might not be the right might not be the right institution to actually govern the economics of MSP. It is already a problem that we saw in various committee reports, that it is not reaching to the targeted beneficiary. So there are a lot of policy concentric issues that have to be considered. There are a lot of different opinions that have to be considered for it, and it is not the prerogative of the judiciary to talk about these things. But then if the parliament house it is getting disrupted, if they are not discussing the issue thoroughly, then the affected person has no recourse. There is a decline of responsive and responsible democracy, because we see a lot of debate being taken for the frivolous issue and not for the important issue that we discussed. And the economic impact on exchequer is humongous. Every minute that the parliament is functioning, it is costing around 2.5 lakh rupees. Every day costs around 9 crore rupees. This is not their money, this is the money of the public exchequer that is being sacrificed for these disruption, for lack of authority of parliament that is getting declined because of the acrimony between the opposition and the government, not allowing the house to function properly. Then what do we do about it? Of course, certain positive steps have been taken, as has been replied to by the Honorable Home Minister regarding the motion of removal of the Speaker. He said that opposition members have been given more space till now. Around 56% of the 0-hour times has been given to the opposition, despite they having less number compared to the ruling party and the coalition. Under the leadership of Honorable Speaker, they have said that more productivity of House has seen. We saw in one session the productivity had declined to even 30%. But if we talk about the average, it has been more than the 17th Lok Sabha at least. The 17th Lok Sabha functioned for roughly 88% of the day, but in the recent session, 97% overall productivity was raised, because in certain sessions we saw productivity rising to even 130%, where the parliamentarians sat for even more time than that was stipulated. Right. So in aggregate, we see such things also happening in our country. It has also debated in the 14 regional languages. That showcases that parliament is becoming more inclusive over the time period. It is not just English educated or only Hindi speaking people who could be participating in the parliament. But we still need more focus on improving the functioning of the house in general. We need a more functional house, and how we can go about it is that we can have legal changes where we reduce the anti-defection laws application within the house, even only when the question is regarding the fall of the government, when the question is regarding the non-confidence motion, only then the ADL functions, ADL provision, they should be revoked. Otherwise, the parliamentarian, the MPs, they should have liberty to express their opinion and do not fall for this coercive attempt of disrupting the house. Then there could be a committee referral that could be legally binding. We saw only 16% bill being referred to the committee. There could be a 50% of threshold for the bills to be referred to the parliamentarian committee before they are being passed. There could be mandatory 100-day sittings. There should not be less than 100-day sitting in a year. And if there is somebody who is disrupting the house, then there must be penalized. One could be a monetary policy also, monetary penalty also, but then major effectiveness would come if their attendance is not marked for the whole of the day. Once the attendance is not marked, you understand that members, if he would have voted on the same day on any of the bill, that vote would also stand to be nullified. So if somebody who has disrupted the house and he is marked absent from the house, the vote that he would have done for the day or is supposed to do after his disruption, that would not be counted, and it would be a case of either the stability of the government or even the fall of the government. The costs are very high, so we must use these tools. There could be consensus based agenda that could develop. The opposition party should be given enough time and given one day at least in a week where they would decide the agenda. If they are deciding the agenda, then there would be no reason that they are disrupting the house. They would get their way, they would ask the question to the government and the government would reply them. In theory, this is possible. And we can also seek steps to enhancing the private members bill. We see that only 1970 was the last time we saw one bill, and regarding this a PIL has already been passed in the Supreme Court that want more and more effort to be done by the individual MPs to raise the concern of the individual citizens of our country, so that they are not knocking at the door of Supreme Court for every small things. If this is done, Parliament would restore the majesty that it has just lost to disruption, and it would try to become a more debate house, discussion house, deliberation house, and not a disruption based house. That was in this topic. We have a practice question for you. Kindly attempt it and get it evaluated from your mentors.